Hello everyone, this is ponderonweather coming at you with another update. In this update, you need to prepare now for yet another severe weather outbreak. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right, so let's get started. Let's start off with the latest watches and warnings as of this morning, Saturday, March the 27th. We've got some high wind watches to deal with currently right now in Montana, as well as getting into Wyoming, where they've experiencing going to be some 50 and 60 mile per hour winds later on today. And we've got flash flood watches already taking place in Arkansas, Tennessee, extreme northern portions of Mississippi and Alabama here, where they've already been inundated with some very heavy rainfall. And we've got fog advisories along the coast here, and that's an indication of those higher dew points starting to creep back in, and that surge of moisture, and that's going to set the stage for yet another severe weather outbreak later on today, going into tomorrow on Sunday. So let me kind of walk you through. Here's the latest satellite picture, and you can see why they have those flash flood watches over Tennessee. They're just getting inundated with some very heavy rain right now as that first system lifts across. But you can definitely see that active jet definitely kind of get its act together later on this afternoon, and especially into the overnight, where we're going to be having to deal with yet another severe weather outbreak. So let me kind of walk you through. Here's the latest jet stream, and you can definitely see the active jet. Here's the low. So we're watching from the southwest. A lot of these storms are going to be moving from the southwest to the northeast, probably 40, 50 miles per hour at times. So this whole area is going to be under the gun for a severe weather outbreak going into later on today, starting literally from like Dallas all the way to Virginia. So this is a good chunk of an area over the next 36 hours. They're going to be having to deal with that severe weather. So we're going to walk you through this and kind of go over the maps to get you prepared. Here's later on today as we go into the afternoon, getting into this evening. There's Dallas. It's going to start just on the kind of the borderline of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it's really going to start ejecting out from the southwest to the northeast. That's going to produce those towering clouds and thunderstorms over portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama here into Tennessee, going into Kentucky. This will eventually swing her off into Virginia and get into the parts of North Carolina as well. So yeah, I mean, out ahead of it, we got a lot of warm air to deal with. I mean, it's been very warm, especially for the south, even in the northeast yesterday. They're starting to get a little bit of a cool down today, but yeah, out ahead of this system. I mean, we're talking 80 degrees in Dallas today, 90 all the way down in the deep south of Texas. I mean, we're almost approaching 100 degrees here. It's almost summer, and it's only March. And so, I mean, yeah, they're dealing with those higher temperatures and definitely higher dew points, where it just seems like it's just a relentless flow of kind of a soupiness, and this atmosphere just stays prime for severe weather. But we do have some relief on the way at the end of the month. We'll go over with at the end of the video with some much colder air on the table. But before that, man, we're gonna have to be dealing with some very active weather. So this is another serious threat, guys. So if you live in this orange shaded area, they do have an enhanced risk for later on the day, going into the overnight, unfortunately tonight, so into Memphis, into Nashville, into Little Rock, going into much of Tennessee here. And even in the slight risk, you still have to be prepared. I mean, you got to take every risk seriously in this situation. It's only based on probability, but even in the slight risk zones, there's still a chance for severe weather to happen, even tornadoes in all three modes. So you got to take every risk seriously in this situation. You can definitely see where Dallas is under kind of a marginal risk, but it expands as you go further northeast, getting into St. Louis, getting into Louisville, Shreveport, into Knoxville, into Huntsville, Alabama. So this whole area is going to be under the gun, not just for those high winds, but yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have a tornado threat. So where this hatched area is, that's the most significant threat of the highest probability of possibly seeing a tornado within a 25-mile point of a given point of your house, for say. So yeah, so if you live in Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, getting into Jackson, getting into northern Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, this whole area in this hatched yellow zone is going to be the highest probability of potentially seeing a tornado. On the outskirts, you have a 5% chance. So just because you're in the 5% chance or even a 2% chance doesn't mean you can't see a tornado. It just means the probability is a lot less likely. So you got to take every threat seriously. I mean, there's been EF3 tornadoes in a 2% chance before. So, I mean, that can happen. So in these situations, you got to put your NOAA weather radio handy. You got to listen to all watches and warnings and take every threat seriously for until this moves out of your area. So this whole area is going to be under the gun later on today, and especially into the overnight. That's why this makes it so significant, because a lot of these areas could be hitting between midnight and 6 a.m., where most of you guys are going to be sleeping. So definitely be prepared later on this evening for that active severe weather, and definitely listen to those watches, listen to those warnings. And if a tornado warning happens in your area, you definitely need to take shelter and wait out the storm until it passes. So as we go into that overnight, that threat, even for hail, is going to be significant as well. So not only is going to be a tornado threat, but there's going to be a high hail threat as well, even a 30%. And a lot of this hatched area is going to be a significant threat of say a 30% chance of possibly a 1-inch hail diameter hailstone or greater is going to be falling in a 25-mile radius at any given point of this whole area into Memphis, Tennessee, into Shreveport, into Little Rock, into Tyler, into Longview. So hail can do a lot of damage as well. So you need to get your cars inside. You need to get those protected. Like I mentioned, this is going to be predominantly an overnight event. So you need to prepare now to have a kind of a backup plan and have those cars protected if you can. Have that hail protector on there as well if you have one of those. But as we go through the day on Sunday, that will continue lifting off as we go into this is the morning hours on Sunday. A lot of that rain will be over portions of the southeast. That'll get into the Ohio Valley, get into Indiana, getting into Ohio, getting into Pennsylvania. This will extend into portions of Virginia as well as this runs up the coast. Back before that, you can definitely see your tornado parameter index from this particular event late Saturday into Sunday. I mean, it's not as off the charts as it was for that last event, but this is still going to be a significant threat. I mean, 6s and 7s are very high. That is a great concern of yet a possibly another tornado outbreak, unfortunately, in this area as we go into Mississippi and Alabama, especially into portions of western Tennessee. This is an hour time frame. This is like 5 o'clock on Saturday, going to the afternoon, and this will just extend into the overnight hours. So that is just another significant threat. And as we go into the overnight hours, this is like about a 2 o'clock in the morning time frame. You can kind of see where the highest probability of that tornado would be at any given point as this continues to surge off to the northeast, extending into more of a central Tennessee, getting into Kentucky by then. And as that threat will continue to shift northeast and a little bit further east as we go through the day, on Sunday. So as we go through the day on Sunday, that Pacific jet, it's just a Pacific front. There's not too much colder air behind this one. But as we push through from the southeast, that'll bring the rain just a little bit further south. That'll bring the rain extending to the coastline now into Pennsylvania, into New York, and much of the northeast states, as this severe threat will extend into portions of the Carolinas and getting into Virginia on Sunday. ahead of that warm air. So yeah, I mentioned that there's just a Pacific front back behind this. So you go from 80 to 68, so another about 12-degree drop. But out ahead of it, that's where the soupiness is, where you're going to be seeing the 70s and 80-degree temperatures. That's going to have that clash in temperatures where that severe threat is going to be taking place for Sunday. And for Sunday, yeah, they've got that slight risk for severe weather breaking out in Baltimore, getting into Charlotte, getting into DC, into Virginia Beach, all the way extending down into Atlanta here. So this is a good area that is still going to be under the gun for severe weather as well. And even on the outskirts, you still have a marginal risk as that system will continue to lift off into the northeast and slightly push into the east, going off the coast here. But yeah, tornado threat is again going to be another threat as well. They also have a 5% probability right along getting into Baltimore, getting into DC, getting into Virginia Beach. A lot of these same areas are going to be under the gun along the coast for a potential tornado as well, dropping down within a 25-mile point of your home. And then even on the outskirts of here, into Birmingham, still into Atlanta, into Chattanooga, into Columbia, these areas will be inundated with still a 2% possibility. But again, you got to take every threat seriously in this situation as that severe weather will extending, trying to push off the coast. But it's going to be a bumpy ride tomorrow and tomorrow night, especially as you get into Sunday off the East Coast here. But like I mentioned, as wind is going to be another high threat. So if you don't have that tornado, you're going to have to be dealing with a straight line wind, maybe a microburst, maybe a downburst. You could have some 60, 70 mile per hour winds is not out of the question in this situation, as that very powerful jet will be racing across and lifting to the northeast. So yeah, I mean, you're going to be hit with, so you need to secure loose objects, trampolines, flagpoles. I mean, anything like that might be flying projectile objects out there in your backyard. You definitely need to secure those objects now before they could be flying objects and find it 5 doors down. So that's the kind of wind we're going to be working with later on into Sunday in this area. So as that continues to push off, you can definitely see back behind it, we definitely kind of clear out. We could see some snow from this situation with some cooler air coming in from the north, especially as you get into Vermont and New Hampshire, especially as you get into Maine on getting into Sunday, going into Monday morning from this same event. But yeah, look at the rain just over the next, getting into this weekend, going into Monday. There's a lot of rain with this system. Like I mentioned, it starts basically from Dallas, but it really kind of ramps up as you get into northern portions of Louisiana and Arkansas, especially as you get into northern portions of Mississippi and Alabama, and then Tennessee's the bullseye. That's where they've got those flash flood watches currently right now. So just in the next 2 to 3 days, you could be picking up a good swath of 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 isolated inches in this area, and even up the coast could be picking up a good easily 1 to 2 inches from this system as this moves across. But like I mentioned, back behind it, there is relief on the way by the end of the month, end of March. So where you guys are experiencing those, 15 to 20, if not almost 25 degrees above average temperatures, we've got a quick shot of much colder air by the end of the month. Here's your temperature anomalies by the 31st, and you can definitely see that quick shot of 10 to 15 degrees to kind of give you an idea. If your average high is 70 degrees in Dallas, and when you're talking 10 to 15 degrees below that, could be looking at a high of 60. So that's the kind of air that we're talking about as this continues to push off with those below average anomalies. And out ahead of it, yeah, that's where we're going to be dealing with those warmer temperatures again, still trying to hang on for the southeast And where that clash is, I mean, that's not out of the question, even by the 31st. I mean, we're trying to get rid of the severe weather, but when you just have those clash in temperatures in March, yeah, we could be yet another maybe severe weather threat, even at the end of the month, as we get towards the 31st, before that colder air arrives, where they're tapping into that extreme. You got 20 degree above average and 20 degree below average. That clash is typically not a good situation, especially as we get into late March. And that could be, like I mentioned, another severe weather to be dealing with by then. But yeah, finally that cold air arrives. It continues to push into Texas, into Arkansas, into Missouri, into Illinois, into Indiana. All these places they're going to be, experiencing the severe weather and experiencing the well above average temperatures. Will a quick shot of cold air for this time of year. And that's going to definitely feel the effects on your body, because your body's already acclimating to those higher temperatures already. So that quick shot of colder air is going to be like, whoa, it's cold. So as this continues to move across, and you can really see it ramps up by Friday, April the 2nd. I mean, where they were experiencing some of those record high temperatures just yesterday in the Northeast. We're talking like 82, I think, in New York City. I mean, that was crazy high for this time of year. This is what's on the table by the time we get into, Thursday, especially into Friday, when you're going to be experiencing those 20, 25 degrees of below normal temperatures. So this is a very quick shot of some colder air. So that's going to be on the table, and you can definitely see it only lasts too long, because there's definitely a warm up on the backside. But it's going to be about a 1 to 4 day drop in temperatures, as this will swing across from the south and getting into the southeast, into the northeast, as we go into the first couple days of April. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.